Alright, good morning. It is going to be math in this video. So when I was using the generator and had it set up and belted, I had wrapped some electrical tape and stuff to make this pulley bigger to give a larger surface area for the belt to transmit power along around the outside here. But that was working, but I need to spin this faster, so I cut that back out and made the pulley and pulled this back down to the original diameter here. So I'm going to do some math about how much slippage I was getting with the belts, and also what I should expect to find on the revs for this now that I have it back on a smaller pulley. So because, you know, the amount of voltage you're generating is based on how far the commutator or the windings are moving. So you can either have a bigger, flatter motor so that out here is swinging further, or you can get this pulley smaller and spin that faster. So obviously I can't make this motor bigger and flatter to have a longer arc on the windings, so I'm spinning it faster to try and make it generate a bit more a bit more voltage, and then see if I can load it and work things out that way. So for starters, circles have a circumference and a diameter. That's where pi comes in. If you remember from geometry, your circumference is pi times the diameter. And because the speed ratio of the two pulleys is about how far the outside, the size of the outside of each diameter, it's C1 over C2, and because C is pi times diameter, you can eliminate pi on both sides, because that's, let me draw a better pi, D1, pi D2, you can cancel both of pi, and your ratio is pretty simple there. Diameter 1 pulley over diameter 2 pulley to get your ratio. So I'm going to use the drive pulley, and then, so this is the engine. Over the generator, and that should give us our the ratio, and that should relate our engine speed to our generator speed and give us an idea of how much slippage I'm getting. So the ET flywheel is 87 millimeters. And then the generator, the old one was 20 millimeters. So doing our math pretty quick here, that is 4 and 7 is 3 times 7 is 21, so that should be 3. So that's a ratio of 4.3 to 1. So if we take our, which means the generator should turn 4.3 times for every revolution of the engine, and the best speed I got was 1250 to 5200, and the slowest was 1250 to 4800. So 5200 and our 1250 into there. You can just eliminate the zeros, so it's 125 into 520. What do we got? 250, 375. Well, 125 into 500 is 4. So that was right? Yeah. 4 is 500, 20, and then 125 and a 200 is 1, and 125 and a 750, that gives us 5. So that gave us a 4.15 to 1 for our best result, and then our slow one, let me see, I'm still in there, alright. $12.50, we can cross the zeros out there, and then we're at 125 and 480, and that's 3, because that's 375, and that gives us 105 there, and 125 into 1050 is 8, and that gives us 1,000, 5,500, and I need to double check I didn't lose a decimal place here, so I got 3 point, so 1,000 gives us 8. Right, okay, and then into 500 is 4, 384. So our worst was 3.84 to 1. So our perfect, this was our perfect efficiency. Now I'm cheating and using a calculator because I need to make this into percentages, and I just don't want to do that longhand. That's 1.23, and then 1 divided by 4.15. Okay, so this is 1 divided by 4.3 is 1.23, and 1 divided by 4.15 is 1.24. It's 123, so this is percentages. 124 minus 123, we're gonna, that's about a 1% loss there. And then this is 1.26, and 1.26 minus 1.23 is 3%. So our speed loss is 1% at our best result and 3% at our worst result. So that's about how much power of the engine we're losing in belt transmission on the bigger pulley. Now the smaller pulley is going to give us a different ideal. So still set that aside. Cool. So our new pulley size that I just did here was 9mm, and that is going to be the ET87 and 9. And our 9s table gives us 9 times 9 is 81. 60, and 6 is 54. That gives us another. Alright, so that's 9.6 repeating. So our 9.6 to 1, so our 1250 times 9.6 9 times 1 is 9. Oh, I'm working the wrong side. I should really remember my math here. So add our decimal. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 5 is 3. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 1 plus 1 is 7. And then add our 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 4 is 22. And 9 plus 2 is 11. So we should get 3, 7, 9. Alright, so we should get 11,973 for our ideal RPM when we measure now. So if I go set that out in the up and start the ET1 up, I should get 11,000 roughly RPM on the generator if I'm getting good power transmission. So we'll see what happens when we get out there. But the other thing is that I can't remember. I'm pretty sure the voltage from the generator should be linear, so that should boost us up to about 2 volts, but I do not remember my electromechanicals that much, so we will find out when we give this a try. And hopefully with that extra voltage we'll get to do a better power test. But anyhow, that is the math on that. If you do gears, gears are easy because the tooth count is your diameter. So gears are just your tooth counts divided to each other, which is nice. And of course, teeth don't lose speed. The power loss is all straight up in the friction of the teeth. Whereas the flat belts, because you're depending on the friction of the flat belt to do the driving, you can lose some speed just from the slippage of the belts. So, and that's of course why I made this pulley bigger, is because friction is about surface area in part, so having a bigger surface area made it drive better there. So we'll see what we get for losses when I do the next test here, and then yeah, we'll decide about either figuring out more ways to drive this faster, or there was a suggestion from somebody about switching to a coreless motor, and coreless motors are definitely more efficient at power creation. So, well, they're more efficient running both ways, both with electrical input and with as generators. So maybe with a more efficient coreless motor I'll be able to draw more power out at the lower speeds. So, but we'll see, and hopefully we'll be able to do some more power testing with this setup and get it really put together and have something to check all the engines with. So, but for now, that's the next step, and a bit of math about how this all works. As you can see, when I measured the engine flywheels, the ET series is 87 millimeters, and the Engimore is very close to, but slightly bigger than the ET series flywheels. And then the EM2 has a 57 millimeter flywheel and a 22 millimeter pulley on it. So we'll have to decide what to do with that, because the pulley face and flywheel face is a lot narrower, and so I'll have to figure out a way to get power off of there with a belt of some kind. But that is a problem for after I get this generator set up and tested. Once I have that working, then we'll move into figuring out how to get it hooked up to all the engines.